Hi friends, welcome to my channel. This is Suresh. So today we're discussing about Azure Functions. Okay, so first we'll see what is Azure Function. Next we will how to create Azure Function in local and how to test it. Then we will deploy the Azure Function into cloud and how to test it. So then we'll see prerequisites here: Azure account, Visual Studio 2022, and MS SQL Server. Azure Storage Explorer is optional. That is fine. So next in this video we'll see I will show the demo SQL trigger function and key storage trigger function and HTTP trigger function. So let's start. So what is Azure function? Azure function is a serverless solution that allows you to write less code, maintain less infrastructure, and save on costs, right? Instead of worrying about deploying and maintaining servers. So the cloud infrastructure provides all the updated, up-to-date resources need to keep your applications running, right? That means you don't bother about Azure infrastructure and servers, where to deploy, how to deploy. You're just focusing on the logic, right? So now Azure Function will support C Sharp, Java, JavaScript, PowerShell, and Python. So today's demo we will see only in the C Sharp, right? Yeah. So first thing is SQL trigger. So the Azure SQL trigger uses SQL change tracking. This is the one of the feature of the database. So SQL trigger uses the SQL change tracking functionality to monitor SQL table for changes and trigger a function when row is created, updated or deleted. Right. So in this SQL trigger function, we will see the trigger for insert, update, delete, and select also. Okay. Yes. So friends, in the SQL trigger, the first thing is we will create a table in our database for demo purpose. We will create, and these two things are very important. So that means we will set the change tracking for our database, and change retention. So change retention is 2 days. That means suppose Azure SQL function is stopped or disabled, SQL trigger function is disabled. So then after 2 days, if you enable, last 2 days changes it will come at one shot, right? And we enable auto cleanup on. That means after 2 days, the changes will be automatically deleted. So it will keep the changes 2 days, right? This is database level, and next one is table level. We need to enable the change tracking for table also. So change tracking is the important step for the SQL trigger function. These queries we should execute in the our database. Next we will create a model class in our code. It is equivalent to the table, right? Yeah, and one important thing is this SQL trigger will support only version 4.x. Okay, so previous versions SQL trigger will not support. And if you want to test the SQL trigger, we should bind the either Azure SQL or SQL Server database. These are the two important points for this. Yes, these things we will see in our code, right? Yeah, we'll go Visual Studio. Okay, so we'll create new function, sorry, new project, and select Azure Functions. If it is not available here, you can search here Azure Functions. It will come like functions. It will come like this. Okay, select that one and click next. You can give your function name. So here we give Azure Functions demo. Okay. So change the location, Azure Functions, right? Next, click on next. So friends, when you selected the project type is Azure Function, so it will selected C .NET 6.0 isolated long-term support, isolated environment. Azure Functions will support two things. One is isolated environment, another one is in-process environment. Isolated environment means it will run the function separately, not in the functions host environment. That is the difference. So if it is in process means the Azure Functions will run in the functions host environment. That is the only difference. Yeah. So we discussed, first we will see SQL trigger. So I'm selecting SQL trigger. Okay. This is required, and for most of the Azure functions we required storage account. Okay, except HTTP trigger. Okay. So here you can specify the connection string name. So I'm giving SQL DB connection, and here you can specify the table. So my table is to do. We can change these things later also, but if you want, you can give here. Okay, fine. Then click on create. Yes, our first function is created. Okay, and yeah, so it is default class will be created here. Okay. So I'm changing the name. Function one is uh, not proper one. So I'm changing the name function one to SQL um, upset upset demo function. So yes, it will be changed automatically. See now here you can observe that SQL trigger. So Azure functions use the attributes. Okay. So here SQL trigger attribute. Okay. And here we are specifying the table name and we are specifying the DB connection. Okay. Friends, when the trigger is happened, this function will be executed. Okay. Changing same function name for same as class name. So here it will carries the SQL change. We discussed it, right? SQL trigger using SQL change tracker. So that object will come here. Okay. That object will come here. What is this error? Install package not in soft JSON. Right? And this class. So I told, right, we need to create the table here. So friends, already I created the table. So already I created the table. You see the columns here: ID, order, title, URL, completed. These are the 5 columns we already created. So if you want, you can create. Okay. So already 4 records are there. Okay. So now this class should be mapped to this table, right? This table. So I will create the same uh, model class. So I will take the model class here, right? Yes. So we'll see the output. Then I will explain what a SQL change will carry here. See some error is happening here. Error indexing method function, SQL upset demo function, Microsoft Azure Abstraction, SQL connection string setting, SQL DB connection is missing your function app settings. That means, so whatever SQL DB connection we provided, that is not available, right? That is correct. Yes, if you want to test in our local, so the important file here, local dot settings dot json. Here we should provide the that connection, right? Fine. So this is the connection name, SQL DB connection. Yes. Now you need to provide our DB connection. So I'm just copy pasting from my previous project here. So this is my connection string. Yes. Now DB connection is ready, available. Okay. So my database is practice DB, and my server is, this is my server. Okay. Yes. See, see, it automatically fetched some changes. Okay. So these are actually I told, right? The retention period is 2 days. Last 2 days, what are the changes are there? Those changes will come because this Azure function is we created now only, right? So what are the changes already there? Those changes will come here. Those are not communicated previously for this Azure function. So now we will test one by one. We will test one. First one is insert. Okay. So I will create one insert thing. I will give 5 order ID. Okay. So the mobile is Samsung mobile, and Samsung URL is Samsung, and yes, completed is 1. So I created one. I'm trying to insert one object. So database is practice DB. Yes. We'll insert this. So one row is affected. Now we will see the logs. See, see friends, SQL changes, operation 0, item. Okay, order 5, title Samsung mobile, URL samsung.com, completed true. See, so that means this is working as expected. What we know, whenever the trigger is whenever the trigger is raised, this Azure function will be executed, right? This Azure function will be executed. Why? How it is working? Because we enable the change tracking. We enable the change tracking for that database. I told, right, these two commands we should execute on our database. I already executed. That is the reason I didn't shown in this demo. You just copy and paste into your DB. Then only it will start listening these events, right? So here, what is the important thing is SQL change object. So it will carry the SQL change object as a list. Okay. In this SQL change object having two things. One is operation, another one is item. Item is nothing but a that record. Whatever record we updated or we inserted or we deleted, that record will come. And operation is this one. Operation 0 it is coming, right? Operation is in 0 means insert, 1 means update, 2 means delete. It is a enum actually. I will show you. I will print after that. Okay. So this is operation. Operation is nothing but whatever operation we perform, that information. So two informations it is carrying. One is row, that means item. Another one is operation. Okay. This is clear, right? So I will show. I will extend this code little bit. Then we will see. Okay. Just stop. Now friends, uh, now this is actually list of SQL change objects. We are just to reading those changes into change, and we are printing, we are taking item. I told, right, it is a row, row. Okay, the row of that table. Next one is operation. Okay, and we are printing each value of that record, right? We will run again and we will see the output. Yeah, it is executed successfully. Now we will try one more time. We'll insert multiple records. at once. Okay, I'm inserting uh, Samsung refrigerator, Samsung laptop. Okay, two records we are trying to insert here. Okay, we'll see how it will be. Trigger two records. See, two records are inserted. So we tried, right? We printing change operation insert, and Sam's SQL changes operation one item. It is coming URL, and another one operation zero. It will come same, right? Two records it came, right? That means multiple changes also will able to get it through Azure function. That trigger. Fine. So next one is we just update. Okay, we'll try to update the Samsung refrigerator. Okay, we'll try to update this Samsung refrigerator. Refrigerator updated. Okay, that order ID is 7. I'm giving order ID 7. Before that, I just see the records. See, Samsung refrigerator is 7. Fine. So I am updating. Okay, updated successful. We'll see the logs what it will be there here. See friends, SQL changes operation 1. Okay, if we insert is operation 0. This one operation 1. Okay, and we'll get that object clearly. See, SQL Samsung refrigerator updated. It is coming fine, and you see here change operation is update. Fine, right? Yes. Now we will see the delete one. So I'm trying to delete the same record, updated record. We are trying to delete it. See, it is successfully executed. We'll see. Last operation. See, change operation is delete, and SQL changes operation 2 means delete. See, for delete we'll get only ID of that record. We'll not get all the values. That is the difference. Okay, ID means GUID. So we deleted, we will not able to see, but that ID will be, this ID will be written there. Okay, yeah. So now we will see the s- select statement of SQL trigger. How we will achieve it? Select statement. Okay, we'll create one more function for that. Okay, we'll create one more function. So now we will understand how to create the one more function for existing project. Go to add and select new Azure function here. Okay, Azure function. My Azure function is SQL get to do item function. Okay, add. Here I'm taking HTTP trigger. I will explain later. Okay, and authorization level I'm putting anonymous. Add. So now one HTTP trigger function is created. Okay, this function is executed when we through HTTP request. Fine, and it is anonymous, right? So here, first thing is we will take the ID from. First thing is we need to fetch the SQL data, the table data, when this HTTP trigger function is executed, right? For that, we need to write our SQL trigger here. Okay, so we will add that code. I will explain the same. See, SQL input. Friends, now it is see. I'm adding SQL input. That means we are giving the input. Okay. So I written the query here. This is our query, a simple query, and command type text and parameters where we need to pass the query dot id. Okay, connection string is SQL DB connection, same connection, right? And this is the item we will return. We'll get it back. Okay, so our code is ready now. We'll see. So when HTTP trigger function is executed through our HTTP request, we are we are preparing our SQL command. Okay, SQL command. That's all. It automatically execute. This SQL input attribute will take care everything. We are passing the just command to SQL input. It will be go and execute the uh, this query into that table, and it will return the result. Okay, that result we are passing here. This is the result object. Okay, this command will be executed in the table, and the result will be passed into a to do item. So now what we are doing, we are returning that same object. Okay, as a response. Fine. So we will see this function how it will be executed. See two functions. One is SQL get to do item function, SQL upset demo function. So we require this URL. Okay, just if you put control click here, it will go and open here. So it will nothing will be happen because we need to pass the ID. It is expecting ID. So what ID if you pass, that object will be written here. So I will take this one Samsung laptop. I'm just copying that ID and pass that ID. See, we got the object here. You see, order 6, title Samsung laptop, URL samsung.com. If you want to see here, you'll see Samsung laptop, samsung.com. Fine. Friends, I hope you understand, right? Now we saw the demo like insert, update, delete, and getting the SQL object from table when we call the HTTP trigger function. So next we will see the Azure Queue Storage function. Okay. Now we will see how to create a Queue Storage trigger function. So I'm just adding the Queue Storage function now. Queue Storage function. Okay. And it is a queue trigger. And you can give connection name Queue Storage connection. And queue name you can give. Queue name my queue items, that is fine for me. So I will leave it as it is. Yes, it is created a queue storage function. Okay, so and the connection is this one, queue storage connection. So this function will execute whenever we added the message to the queue. Okay, then it will trigger. By default, it is a input queue input trigger. Okay, and we will get the queue message object. From that object, we will read the message text. Fine. So if you want to test this in local, we need to add the our Azure Queue Storage connection. Okay. So the file should be local.settings.json. So here I will add that file. So I need to add the Queue Storage connection. So this is my Azure account portal. Okay. Yeah, this is the Azure account I'm using for storage. So there we will go to access keys and take the connection string. So I'm taking the connection string here and copy. Fine. Now I will paste that connection here. Right. The connection is ready. Now we will run and see the application. So meanwhile, we'll go and see the queues. Go to queues. So there are two queues already I created. One is my queue items and my queue items destination. So my queue items. So here, when whenever we add the message in this queue, it should be triggered our function. So let's see. See, now our queue storage function is created. Okay. So now we'll try to add the message here. Test message one. Just add the date. Today is November 21, 2023. Fine. Just add this one. So the message is added into the queue. We'll see now. See, the trigger is fired. See, C sharp queue trigger function processed. The message came here. The same message. Test message 1, November 21, 2023. That means it is working as expected. So once queue message is processed, it will be removed here. Refresh, it will remove automatically here. Right. So this is the queue trigger. So suppose if you want to add, just stop this function. Okay. If you want to add here, suppose when the message came, I want to push this message, I want to push or save this message into another queue. For that we need to write queue output, queue output. Okay. And that this function should be written, then only it will be work. So what it will return, it will return string. Okay. And this is return message dot message text. If it is a string, yes, it is a string. Okay. So then only it will work. And here it should be, uh, we need to pass two things. One is queue name and storage connection. Okay. Here I will just copy paste for saving the time. So this is the key output. Just copy paste this one. Yes. So this is my queue and this is my connection, same connection we are using, right? So now we will run and see the output. Meanwhile, we'll open this one more in one more tab. Go to queues. Okay, now this is our destination. Okay, refresh it. Fine. So this is executed successfully. Now, now we just send one more message from our queue. So now I am putting test message 2 and just click OK. This message processed successfully, and we will see here the message came or not. See, the message came into my queue items destination. Okay, and we are sending the message from the my queue items. You see that output here also, test message to number 2023. So that means we are able to trigger the function. So when the when the queue storage function is triggered, we will process that message, and we are able to save that message into some other queue also, right? Yeah. Now we will see HTTP trigger. So HTTP trigger, I think most of the people are knows, but I will show little uh, extended way. So I'm just adding Azure new Azure function, that is HTTP trigger function, trigger function, HTTP trigger function we added here. Fine. So now You just run and see what is the output here. Actually, HTTP trigger function, it will support get and post method. Okay, it will carry the request HTTP request object, and yeah, so finally it will preparing the response object, and it is returning the object, HTTP response data object. You just simply run and see the output or how it will come. See, it is created HTTP trigger function. So if you click control and click here, so it will open here. See, welcome to Azure Functions. It is working fine as expected. So right, go to code. So what we will do here, so when the when this function is executed, we'll save that message into queue. Okay, we'll save that message into queue. So how we will add that one here? So here that means we need to add queue output, or queue output is not working because it is HTTP trigger. So here we will need to write some additional code. So we'll write that code here. Stop wasting time. So what we will do is just create queue client. Just create queue client. So queue client, and you can, here you need to provide the storage connection, and you need to provide the destination queue, right? These two parameters you need to pass, and queue message. So yeah, we can prepare some message here where queue message. Okay, suppose if you are passing the request dot query, suppose if you are passing some query params name, that is you are getting here, and again you can concatenate this one like queue message equals queue message plus, I'm just copying, HTTP function triggered some message triggered from, just put like this, and here name you take, and here you can give name, remove this, right? Yes, so now uh, we are expecting name from the query params, and take that name, and we are adding that name here, and we are passing that queue message to the queue queue to queue through queue client. We are sending message to queue. This is the way we need to send the or save the message into the queue. So now we will stop this one, and we will see. Okay, fine. So just run one more time. Yes, now we'll see the HTTP trigger function, how it will be. Yes, see, it is already triggered. So we need to pass name here, name Suresh. Welcome to Azure Functions. Now we will see that message is, what is the message we are expecting? HTTP trigger function is execute triggered by my name, right? That we will see it is there or not in our my queue out destination, right? My queue items destination. See, HTTP function triggered from Suresh Kona. So this is first time we triggered without name. Okay, and this is second time we triggered with name. So it is saved here. Yeah, friends, that's all. I hope you understand these functions. So now, now next step is how to deploy. So how to deploy into cloud? So go to solution explorer and click on go to solution explorer and right click and select the publish. Okay, so here select Azure and click on next and select your Azure function, app, Windows or Linux where you want to deploy. So I want to deploy in Windows and click here and see my this is my Azure subscription. Okay, now if you want to create new, so click on new. It will automatically create suggesting and create the Azure function for me. Okay, and this is my resource group and this is my plan type is consumption. Okay, there are other plan types, premium app service plan. Okay, and yeah, location you can specify here. I want only South India, so select South India, and this is Azure function storage. It is already there, and application insights also already there for me, so I'm using same. Just click on create. It is created now, so just click on finish. The Azure function is created into the Azure cloud. Okay, yes, see now it is ready to deploy. Okay, it's not deployed yet. Now it is ready to deploy. We need to click on publish button. So now it is trying to deploy into our Azure cloud. Go to here, this account. Yes, so now first thing is we'll go our Azure functions. Go to function app. So our function app is Azure functions demo. Go to Azure functions demo. Okay, now we'll see the our functions here. See our four function: HTTP trigger function, queue storage, SQL to do item function, SQL upset demo function. Everything is deployed successfully, right? So I will test. We will test at least one function here because all are we tested in local. It will work as it is in the cloud also, but we will try at least one function. We will test here. We will test this SQL function. Okay. So before that, actually we configure the DB connection here, right? So that DB connection, it will not deploy automatically here. So what we need to do, we need to go to the configuration. In the configuration we need to set the our database connection. Okay, so here no connection, right? So we need to give the connection string here. Fine. So I will go to my database. I created my database here, same database name, practice DB. Okay, so here I will go and take the my connection string. Take my connection string here. This is my connection string. Okay, now come to Azure function. Go to connection string. Now create our new connection string. Our connection string name should be same whatever we given in the here. What is that? SQL DB connection. SQL DB connection. So now we'll go to our one of the function SQL upside demo function, and here go to code plus test to select the database SQL server. Okay, and save. So we need to update the database connection into the configurations of Azure function app. Now we select file system logs here. Okay, it's connected. Now what we will do, go to database, go to our database and go to query editor and give your password. So it should be added to the firewall, then only it will be succeeded. Friends, here we have only one table in the database, that is to do. So just to see the data, two records are there. So I just delete from We will see what this trigger will be fired or not. Already I done all these change tracking commands here, so I'm not showing same thing. I'm just testing directly. See friends, change operation delete is fired here. See, two records we deleted, so it came that record. This is one record and this is another record. Fine, right? Yes. So if you want to insert one record, you can take and insert one record here. Two records. Try to insert these two records. I'm inserting two records now. Records are updated. Now we'll see the logs. See, change operation insert two times it is executed and it is ins came that two records. One is Samsung laptop and another one is Samsung refrigerator. Samsung refrigerator and Samsung laptop. Two records. So it is working as expected. Friends, that's all in this video. Whatever required for this references, I will provide all the URLs in the video description. So thank you so much. If you like this video, please like, subscribe and share. Thank you so much.